Thanks for coming. So I have half an hour to talk to you about quite a variety of programs that CET offers and that Brandeis students are approved to attend. So because we have limited time, I don't want to get too in the weeds on programs that you all aren't considering. So if anybody has a region, a focus, a particular program that they'd like to hear more about, will you say it out or put it in the chat or something, please? What are folks looking for? Anybody? Okay, well, that's fine. If you, oh wait, I'm sorry, there's some chat stuff here. Okay, China and Taiwan, Shanghai and Prague is what I see. All right, great.
And Janelle, Dana and I had chatted about Taiwan and that we're good talking about it, that we can bring it back on the approved list.
Okay, great. I don't have a slide for Taiwan, but I can talk about Taiwan. Okay, well then I will focus on Greater China and I will focus on our Prague programs as well. And I'm sorry that we don't have any offerings in France or England, so I won't go too far in that direction. Okay. Okay. So CET. So first of all, I'm Janelle. I have worked with Brandeis for many, many years. I've worked with a number of Brandeis students going to programs all over the world with CET. CET is an institutional, it's an institution that is based in Washington, D.C., and we started actually in China in the early 80s. But we have certainly moved beyond that since, although we still have quite a few programs in China. And what you might want to know about CET is that we offer small classes. We're academically challenging. We have a lot of student support. So you'll have an advisor for your program who knows the ins and outs of the program when you open an application. We offer lots of orientation materials before students depart. We have on-site staff members who are available 24/7. So we do a lot with students. We offer lots of on-site and pre-departure support. We also do our very best to keep students engaged, both academically and with fun activities. And we really do our best to offer meaningful connections with the local folks who are there. And the way that CET does that most directly is with our roommate programs. So at just about every CET location, students are housed with local peers, either in apartments or in dorms. And really the concept behind that is that it breaks you out of sort of a bubble of foreign students and gives you access to local peers, especially if you're studying a language. It's really great because you have folks around you who are native speakers. So that's CET's sort of model in terms of giving students meaningful connections with locals. Okay, so this is kind of an overview of our programs. I will stop and highlight specifically the programs that came up in the chat. And Alicia, I can't see the chat right now, so if more students come in and they have other program interests, will you just sort of keep me updated, please?
Yes, and I can also monitor the chat if anyone else has questions as you go along and let you know if any comes up.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so we'll start with Asia. So we have programs in Vietnam, Japan, and in both mainland China and Taiwan. And let me kind of get to the China pieces. We do some development studies programming in Vietnam. We offer a pretty language intensive program in Osaka, Japan. And then for the China programs, There are going to be 2 on your screen, but I'll go into 3, including Taiwan. So our CET Beijing program is our most language intensive program. So really the entire term or summer is just focused on Chinese language. So you're essentially taking 20 hours a week of Chinese. You're living in a dorm with a local Chinese student, and you are on a language pledge. So you're agreeing to only speak Chinese after orientation. And the local student is also on a language pledge. So everybody's speaking Chinese all the time. For sort of beginning and intermediate students, it's kind of your standard Chinese language courses. For higher level students, we offer some kind of electives in Chinese. So it really depends on your level, what your experience is going to be. I hear from students all the time who are super intimidated by the idea of a language pledge. And it is intense, but please don't be afraid. Everybody is in the same boat. Everybody is doing their very, very best, and there are staff and tons of faculty there to support you. So if language is your #1 goal, CET Beijing is a great place to look. Sort of in terms of language intensity, the next most intensive program is our CET Taiwan program, which I'm sorry is not on the slide. So CET Taiwan, the majority of your credits during your time abroad are for Chinese language. So it's still pretty language intensive, but you also take an elective. And the elective is an internship course with an internship placement. So students do about 10 hours, 10 to 15 hours a week of the internship placement, and then they meet once a week with a corresponding course. That piece of it, the course itself is taught in English, but the Chinese language is obviously in Chinese. And students live in apartments in this program, not in dorms. The cool thing about internships in Taiwan is that you can really do a whole slew of things that you might not be able to do in mainland China. For example, we've had students intern with political parties, but we also have, a number of other internship opportunities. We've had students intern at the local Taipei Zoo. We even had a student who was in a medical student do work in a forensics lab. So there are all number of different things that students can do. So that's Taiwan. And then Shanghai is, I would say, kind of next down in terms of language intensity. So for the Shanghai program, students take Chinese language, and actually a fair amount of Chinese language, but we also offer electives in English, and we offer this internship course with placements similar to what is offered in Taiwan. Shanghai is CET's longest running internship program, so we have a huge number of internship placements that students can kind of work with and pick from. We have students doing all kinds of things: arts, finance, marketing, real estate. We had an engineering student once work at a helicopter manufacturing plant. I mean, there are all kinds of things that students do with their internships in Shanghai. In Shanghai, students live in dorms, again, with a local Chinese roommate. So that is a very basic overview of those 3 Greater China programs: CET Beijing, CET Taiwan, and CET Shanghai. Okay. I didn't
No, we have a
hear
question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
How does the internship match process work?
So students who are interested in the internship piece, this is true for both Taiwan and Shanghai. as part of your application and post-commitment sort of materials, you send us a number of things. You send us your resume. You give us a little bit of insight into what it is that you're looking for. Are there particular disciplines that you don't want to intern in? And we have an internship coordinator who looks at all of our sites and finds one that they think would be a good fit for you. And they connect you with that internship site and you interview for it. Most of the time, the first choice works out because our internship coordinator can kind of assess ahead of time whether this is a good fit. But if plan A doesn't work out, we have a plan B and we get you another interview and we kind of go from there. But so CET does the internship matching. You give us some information about what you're looking for in your experience, and then that sort of final interview is up to you. Okay. We're moving on to Latin America, but I didn't hear any interest there in the chat. So I'm just going to say very quickly that we have a program in Cali, Colombia, and in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Both of them, the student experience is really based on two factors. One, that all students take a core course. In Colombia, it's a core course on race identity and ethnicity. In Brazil, it's a core course on social justice. And then the rest of your experience is really dictated by your language level in each location, either in Spanish or in Portuguese. If you're an absolute beginner in either language, you would take a variety of electives that CET offers in English. If you are a higher level student or a native speaker, you would take you would have the option essentially to take electives in either Spanish or Portuguese or some direct enroll electives. So essentially, as your language level increases, you have a larger variety of electives that you can take in addition to the core course. And of course, students who are not at advanced levels of language would also take either Spanish or Portuguese. And in both locations, you live in apartments with local roommates. So that's just a very, very basic overview of those two programs. Okay. Let's get into Europe and the Middle East. We do have a program in Jordan that has a very strong focus on language, but I'm going to get into the Prague programs because there was some particular interest there. If the student is still here who is interested in Prague, do you know if it was CET Prague or film production program that you were interested in? Hopefully you can like put that in the chat and let me know, and I'll start with sort of the basics of both of these programs. So CET has a center in Prague where we run a number of programs. We have sort of a humanities and social science focused program called CET Prague, and then we have a number of arts programs, one of which is our film production program. For both of these programs, you're living in Prague in apartments with other students on the program, and many of the apartments have a local Czech roommate. And many of the initial sort of orientation activities that happen on both of these programs are shared across programs. So you get to know sort of a wide array of students who are doing a number of different programs. Each program within sort of the umbrella of our CET Center in Prague has its own resident director. And that person sort of oversees your experience when you're in Prague. So for the CET Prague side of things, and I'm sorry, Alicia, I saw there was a chat. Did we learn which program?
I believe that the student who was interested in Prague has left the Zoom room.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe we won't go too far into Prague.
We have had some others join though, so if there's any other interests from those who have joined in a specific program, feel free to type it in the chat.
I'll just finish like a little bit of a synopsis about our Prague programs, which is for the CET Prague, this sort of humanities and social sciences program that we offer. Students essentially choose a core course that is tied to a traveling seminar. So if you have chosen Central European Studies, CET will take you on a traveling seminar. It's essentially a 10-day traveling seminar, but it's broken up into 2 sections, so a week and then 4 days later in the term. And you would look at sort of the modern history of Central Europe. So we might take you to Vienna, and you would take a walking tour of Red Vienna. We also have a Jewish studies concentration where students who were taking the Jewish studies core course would also do sort of a thematic traveling seminar throughout Central Europe, looking at kind of the modern history of Jews in Central Europe. In addition, we have a whole bunch of elective options in English. Everybody takes beginning Czech, and we also have internship options with a course as an elective option in Prague. And students who are interested in kind of higher level econ courses can also do a direct enroll course at our local partner, Charles University, as one of their electives. So that is, in a very, very quick nutshell, the programs that CET has at Brandeis. I know this was a very, very brief overview, and I'm happy to take questions. I know we still have a little bit of time. For students who are kind of coming in or leaving, there are just a couple of things that I want to make sure that you're aware of. One is that if you go to the CET website, and I have the web address in the next slide. If you go to the CET website and go to any of the college program pages, if you scroll all the way down to the page, your particular student services coordinator, who knows all of kind of the ins and outs of that program and all of the details, has a little section on the website at the very bottom of each program page. And you can make an appointment with that person for a Zoom sort of advising session. So if you have really detailed questions, if you want to know more about housing, if you want to talk about your own level of language and what your experience might be in Beijing, whatever it is, just go to the program page that you're interested in and scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you can schedule a time to talk with someone who knows a lot of details about the program. If you have sort of general questions or you want to send me any additional questions, my email is also at the bottom of this screen. That's jbloss at cetacademicprograms.com. So please feel free to shoot me an email if you would like to as well. I'm always happy to answer questions or to connect you with other folks. The other thing that I will mention is that we do have a number of scholarships available, and if you go to our main CET page, you will see a scholarship section that you can click on. We have a few different scholarship options that are available, and you can kind of read through the descriptions, see what the application process is like, and get a sense of which scholarships might be a good fit for you. We also have kind of all of our application materials listed online and all that kind of stuff. So our website has a lot of rich information, so please definitely check it out. Okay, that was my like mile a minute overview of CET programs, and I am happy to take questions.